So once your age begins to go down and your CRS score begins to drop in the express entry pool, it can get a bit discouraging and frustrating, and you feel that do you still stand a chance of relocating to Canada through the express entry pool? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the steps that you can take to improve your scores, become more competitive, and stand a chance of being called once there's a draw in the express entry pool. And at the end of the video, I'm going to demonstrate how making these changes can improve your CRS score from something that wasn't too encouraging to something that makes you more competitive. And a disclaimer here, I am not an immigration consultant. I'm going to share information that is out there on the Canada.ca website. You can visit the website, read on it, and be informed yourself. I'm also sharing based on my own personal journey relocating from Ghana to Canada. The first step you would want to consider is taking a second official language. The second official language I'm talking about here is French. Learning French can increase your score by as high as 50 points. French language is something you can explore because there are specific draws for the French language category. This is also a way for you to increase your score if you're above 30-35, right? It can give you as much as 50 points. I mean, of course, you may not get the highest score in French, but at least you get some points from the French language test, right? If you do not have a brother or sister in Canada, if you've not schooled in Canada, you didn't get a provincial nomination, then the French language test is something above 30-35 can look at to get additional points. We all know that Canada is a bilingual country, and when you have French as a second language, it gives you more options, right? I know it feels overwhelming. You're not going to start learning a new language and all that, but there are a lot of people who are now offering courses, and you can get coaching, within a few months, be able to speak basic French. Within a few months, you may be able to write the TEF or TCF to increase your score. If you're not able to hit that 50-point mark, even when you get 25 points, it can do a lot for you in the express entry pool. So this is something that you may want to consider. And recently, there's been a lot of French draws. I think in April there are about 2 or more, so it's been going back to back, and their CRS scores are fairly lower than the other category. Now you have to consider what score you got in your first official language. Because whether you're taking the IELTS or any of the accredited exams, make sure that you are acing it. I can't emphasize this enough. If you've written it and you have 6.5 or 7 or lower, consider rewriting it, getting coaching, practicing more with the test questions that you have when you register for the test, and hitting your score. So target for as high as 8 to 9 because that gives you more points. They have a permutation that they do with language, education, and work experience, and this can really boost your score. So at the end of this video, I'm going to show you how if you have a 6 versus if you have an 8, 7, or 9, how it's going to differentiate you from having a lower CRS score to having a higher CRS score. So you may want to consider rewriting your English language test if you didn't hit the 8 or 9 mark. You don't have to close your express entry account while you rewrite your English language test. You still stay in it, and then when you get your new results, you just update it in the system and you're good to go, and your CRS score will change. Now let's get to the third thing that you can do. You know that you get scores depending on your level of education. So if you have a higher education, master's, PhD, you get higher points as compared to if you have maybe a high school certificate, a diploma, or a first degree. From secondary school, high school, WAEC, you get some points, and then the highest you can get is with a doctoral degree. You get 140 or 150, and with a master's degree you also get 126 or 135. That's the maximum that you get. If you have the time, you can consider taking a postgraduate degree in your home country and adding it to your certifications, and that will increase your score. If you can do a 1-year master's degree, you can go ahead and do it, and that will increase your score. It's all about making yourself more economically competitive in the express entry pool, because age is not on your side. You lose points after every birthday when you turn 30, and that's 5 points for every birthday you are losing, right? So if you are in the pool and can have time to do a postgraduate diploma or a master's degree, I will encourage that you can do it. The most important thing is is when you are coming with your spouse and leveraging your spouse's credentials. What I mean is that if your spouse takes the English language test or the first official language test, they add extra points to your score. They can give you as high as 40 points if they do their educational credentials, they do their language test, right? And if they are willing to do a second official language, they can give you as much as 40 points. Coming with your spouse, this offers an opportunity for you to increase your score. You know, if it's a collaborated effort, your spouse has a level of education, they can speak English or they know French, it offers an opportunity for you to enhance your economic value that you can bring to Canada, right? So you get more points in the pool. So your spouse will also have to do the educational credential assessment, and the maximum they can get is 10. To the maximum they can add to you, they have a secondary school, high school certificate is 2, 1 year university degree is 6, and you come to master's level, they can give you as much as a 10, right? And then a PhD, they can give you a 10. And with a bachelor's degree, they give you an 8. Now with official language, also with the CLB is Canadian Language Benchmark, right? That's what is measured by. If you are using any of the approved tests, it means that, you know, depending on the score that they get, this is how much they can add to you, right? Maximum of 20 points, you know, that they can add to you per this section alone. So you need to let your spouse also do their language assessment. If you're in Canada with your spouse, let's say you're a student and your spouse is on an open work permit and they are working in Canada, these are the possible points that they can add to because they have Canadian work experience, right? So they can add a maximum of 10 points to you, 5 points, you know, with just 1 year working experience in Canada. So if you're a couple, this should be a collaborative effort. Don't say that you are the principal applicant, so you are the only one who is going to do all the tests. Encourage your spouse to have their credentials assessed by WES or any other body you are using depending on your career. Have them take the language test, the English language test, and then if they are willing or if they have French as a second language, they can also take the French language test to support your score. Because the notion is that when you are married, you get lesser points than somebody who is single. But the system is designed such that if you are married, you make up for those points you lose as a married person with your spouse's credentials. And that is what I did, right? So you both write the English language test. You can register for it, support each other as you study, you know, and go and write it the same day or the same week. Submit your credentials, you know, your education credentials, get it done, and then get more points from there. And these are the 4 ways that you can increase your score. You could also get a provincial nomination, right? But that is not in your control because it's the province that will come into the pool and decide that based on your credentials, we need your skills in our province. So these 4 ways that I've spoken about are ways that are within your control that you can work towards achieving your goal of relocating to Canada with your family to pursue your goals. So now I'm going to demonstrate how taking these steps can drastically improve your scores and put you at an advantage of being called once there's a draw. So let's get into that. This is the Canada.ca website. You can go there and use the CRS calculator to check what your current CRS score is and what you can do to improve it. This is what they use to rank your scores in the express entry pool. And then when there's a draw, you need to get, you know, above the cutoff to be called. So the 4 main factors that I use are the core or human capital factors, spouse or common law partner factors, skill transferability factors, and then additional points. So I did a simulation here of somebody who is 35, who is married, and they have a first degree education. So I wanted to show you, and then I did a simulation of their test scores 6.5, 6, 6.5, just to show you that if you improve your test scores, you can improve your overall CRS score, right? They had a total of 318, which may not be too competitive, but it's just to show that there's room for improvement. So for example, at 35, the score you get for age is 70, right? Level of education is a degree, you get 112. But if you are able to do maybe a 1-year master's, it means that it's going to go up. Official language scores, the simulation I did, the person had 82. The person was averaging 6.5. So if you're able to improve it and maybe get an 8, or a 9, it means that you're going to get a higher score. Now let's look at the spousal factors. I considered that the spouse had not done their education credential assessment, and that brought it to 0. But if their spouse had done the official language, they got at least 16. Now let's look at the French language. Because the person had not done French, you get a 0. For the same person, let's change a few factors and let's see how their score is going to change. Okay, so still married, no, their spouse is not a citizen or permanent resident, so you are both coming from your home country. Yes, they are coming with you. You are 35. Let's change the highest level of education, right? You've had your ECA, so let's change from bachelor's degree to, let's say, a master's degree. Okay, and then for, have you earned a Canadian degree? No, you're still from back home. Let's change the languages, right? The language test assessment. Okay, we are using the IELTS as an example. Let's say speaking, we have an 8, so that's 7.5 to 9. Listening, let's say we get an 8. Reading, we work hard and we get, let's say, a 7.5. Writing, we get, let's say, a 7.5 to 9, right? Do you have other language results? Let's say we say yes, maybe we've done TEF or TCF, right? So let's say we've done TEF, which is French, and let's say the speaking, we get like 349 to 370. Listening, let's say we get just choosing some values just so that we see how much, just trying the French test could add to you. Everything is the same. Let's say work experience. Do you have work experience in Canada? No, we do not have work experience. And if you're 35, of course, you have 3 or more years work experience from back home, right? And we do not have a provincial nomination. So let's say we do not even have a provincial nomination, right? Everything is the same. We've not worked in Canada. Everything is the same, right? Then we say, what's the highest level of education for which your spouse or common law partner has, right? They've done the educational credentials. Initially, we said none or less than second, which gave us 0. So let's say our spouse has a bachelor's degree, right? And they've done all that. And our spouse is not in Canada, so of course they do not have Canadian work experience, right? And they've also taken their IELTS. Let's change the scores here. But okay, let's maintain speaking. Let's change the scores here. But speaking, maybe they get an 8. Listening, they get an 8. Reading, let's just say they get 7 to 7.5. And writing, they get 7. Okay. Now let's recalculate the score. Remember that initially we had 318. So let's recalculate our score. You see what it's come to, comprehensive ranking score. You see what it's come to, 536. 536. And what, they do not have a provincial nomination. They have not studied in Canada. They do not have siblings in Canada. But the French language gave them 75. So, I assume the French language. So even if you write just a little bit of it, it could help. If you can't, let's look at what your spouse, can do for you. Now look at the spousal level of education. They got an 8. First official languages, they got 20, right? Because they've done their IELTS and all that, and they got 28, right? Their age is still the same, but because official language, maybe you took French, so it gave you additional points, right? And see that there are little things that you can do to increase your score, but it requires a certain level of commitment. If you're already in the express entry pool and you're waiting to be called, while you wait, this is something you can look at so that you just don't waste the time sitting and waiting and watching the profile change, and 1 year comes and then you have to start the process all over again. So this is something you can look at. I hope that you found this video useful and helps you on your journey. If there's any video you would like me to make, please share your comments in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.